welcome to Marauders Monthly. It is spring sports season, so we've got a couple spring sports coaches tonight in Tanner Spencer and Amy Schmeckpeper. That is baseball and softball here at the University of UMary. And we will start with baseball with Tanner Spencer. He has been here since December 2019, and in that time, he has become the UMary all-time wins leader in baseball. So welcome, Tanner Spencer. Tanner, welcome. You came up here. I said you're the all-time wins leader. Has that sunk in yet, and how does that feel?
Yeah. No, I told Brian not to have you ask about it, so that's cool.
Yep.
No, it's good. We have really good people and we work at a great place, and sometimes people make you look like not as big of an idiot as you are. So I'm really lucky.
123 wins in the career for Tanner Spencer. You have 18 Canadian-born players on your team this year. So in your experience, what are some of the differences or similarities in the baseball culture between Canada and the U.S.?
I think depends on the region of the U.S., right? Like our region would be very similar, and I think a little bit more like a hockey culture where you got to bring arousal level down a little bit. And I think just the crudeness, for example, our Bismarck guys and our Canadians are very similar. Just that they're going to be a little bit off, and when it breaks through pretty cool. And like our California, Arizona players, it's usually a little bit less crude when they get on campus.
And a former Marauders player, Eddie Streeter, is the head coach here in Bismarck for Legacy High School. You've gotten a couple of very regular players in your lineup from that school, Marcus Butts, Isaac Tigor's an All-American, Crew Walker. So what does that local connection do for your program?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, you got 45 guys from Bismarck, right? But Streeter is, baseball is a unique sport because there's high school coaches that are better coaches than coaches at LSU, right? And Ed's one of the best baseball coaches I've ever been around. So I think that those kids are going to be schooled at a really high level and understand the game. And I think wear off a little bit of that crudeness a little earlier. So the local stuff is huge for us, and I think it helps everybody, gets people involved and want to come out to our games, and also they've helped us a great deal. So,
and when they come out to the games, they're coming to Municipal Ballpark, a historic ballpark here in Bismarck. It got a turf makeover recently. That was last season. So what kind of difference has that made at both the game level and a program level?
Yeah, huge. I think, one, from a practice standpoint, everybody thinks about games, but, if let's say there's 8 dates a year, right? But you're out there for practice 65 days a year. So the ability to maneuver practice and the ability to do it at a high level. And then obviously, we play at home next weekend, and I think we have a feasible shot of playing, which, if you're natural, there's no shot. And we're trying to find a field in Sioux Falls and go from there. So it's huge. And then obviously from a recruiting standpoint, I think it's a facility that's second to none right now at the Division II level. So yeah, it's been huge all around.
That's awesome, man. We're 12 games into the season. It's a very long season, the longest season in any of our sports here at UMary, over 50 games. So how do you, as the coach, deal with the highs and lows and help the players deal with the highs and lows of the long season?
Yeah, it's long, but it's not, right? Like, especially when you get into NSIC play, it becomes so condensed. And then, I was talking to Kevin before, and every game matters. It's such a great deal that I think college is so unique because you got to go at game 1 and then go at game 2 and then go at game 3 and kind of alleviate some of those highs and lows. But for our guys to just be as prepared as you can so that you can let it rip on game day, and that's always the message, right? Whether it's game 1 or game 50, and if you're not prepared, it's really, really hard to play free, and if you're prepared, hopefully it's easy to play free.
Awesome. And you're a former D2 pitcher, so you know how hard pitching is at this level. So when you are recruiting for your pitching staff, what are you looking for?
Yeah, I think recruiting, there's kind of some universal things with recruiting, right? One, you want kids that want to be here, and 2, you want kids that want to compete at a really high level. And then obviously there's some stuff things and some intangible things. I think we've hung our hat on a lot of velocity since we've been here. So I think that's important. But the intangible stuff would be, the stuff you can't really make, right? The desire to be in the fire and all the fun stuff. So obviously some metrics and so on and so forth, but more than anything, like the desire to compete, the desire to want to be in the game in the biggest time.
So the metrics, there's been an analytical revolution in baseball. How have you, embraced that in this program?
Yeah, everything. I'd say everything's really calculated. I think that's our sell, right? Like objective player development. Your career is too important for me to say like, hey, Danny, this is how we coach, right? Now let's hope we can shove you in that box and what we want comes out. Like we don't want to hope. So everything's measured. And I think from the program to the weight room to, how they eat to their sleep to, acute workload and kind of everything is really, really measured and adjustments are made off of that. And again, I think it's too important for me to sit here and guess.
Mm-hmm. And pitching depth has been a difference I've seen this year from last year's team to this year. One example is you're piggybacking Ryan Chamberlain after Justin Hansen for 9-inning games, getting two guys that can go the distance. And last year was it was tough to accumulate those innings with the pitching injuries that were accumulating. So what difference has that made in the early going?
Yeah, and it's the plan here has always been, hey, we want to be, let's say 30% transfers and 60% four-year guys. I think four-year guys are important. I think it fits the institution. I think like if you want to build standards and culture within a program, you need guys that are here for 4 years and learn and leave here Marauders, right? So the four-year guys, it's just taken a second to be able to say like, hey, we have transfers, but we have four-year guys that are depth and eventually become really, really impactful for us. So it's always been the plan, like 4-year, 5-year guys, and watch that developmental process. But now I think you're kind of seeing some fruition of it where the redshirt freshman and the sophomore are starting to be ready at a little bit higher rate. And I think, facilities matter for that, but also us getting consistently competitive to where we can get better or maybe more appropriate to our level 4-year guys.
And one of those redshirt sophomores that made a jump last year was Isaac Pegors, who became an All-American. So that was a huge, huge jump. Who do you anticipate on this roster can make that kind of similarly, maybe not All-American because that was a big one, but who are some guys that can make that jump on the offensive side?
Yeah, good question. We're really old offensively. Like you look, I think Caleb Haney is a two-time all-conference player. I think he'll leave here as one of the best, if not the best player to wear a Marauders uniform. You got Isaac, Bryce Leafgren's had a really good career here, but Hank Griffin. Hank is just supremely talented, and his career has been a little bit wayfaring and found what we feel like is the right place, and hopefully it can be unleashed from an offensive standpoint this year. Another local kid like Marcus Butts. There's a really, really big offensive skill set. I think it's hard when, as a freshman, there's no expectations. You go into your sophomore year, and now whether it be from other people but especially from yourself, right now there's some expectations that you want to be impactful and do some things. And Marcus has a really good offensive skill set. So hopefully it comes this year. If it takes some more time, it takes some more time. But I think both of those guys could click for us.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing high school sports here, Marcus was a really good hockey player for Legacy. And then I saw that he was committing to UMary for baseball. Like, wow, he can do that too. And boy, can he do that. He's a very, very good player. So for the defensive side of things, you mentioned your middle infielders, Caleb Haney, Hank Griffin, that's your double play combo. How important is that defense at the college level?
Everything. Yeah, like the way you defend will always be your floor. I think you can pitch your way and hit your way to a ceiling, but if you can't defend at a high level, you can't win in college baseball. Just is what it is, especially on the infield, right? Like if you're not going to defend at a 950 plus clip on the infield, you can't win in college. So yeah, I think we spend so much time on infield defense and obviously outfield defense, but with our weather, that's a little bit tricky, right? I don't know how many true fly balls we can throw up in the field house, but infield defense and catcher play is always going to be the floor of any program, in my opinion.
That's great. So you got a couple of good wins already this year, a couple over a top 10 team in Minnesota State. So what are your goals for this season and moving forward for the program?
Yeah, I think I don't know if we really work that way, in terms of do that. I think we're ready to compete on a national stage. It's the best team we've had. It's depthy, it's old, defends at a high level. I think, obviously things need to go right and health needs to go right. But I think we've taken some of the necessary steps to compete on a national level. Now, obviously there's a bunch of things that need to go right for that to happen. But I don't think we necessarily work in terms of goals. We want to prepare at a really high level, and we have Metro State, and you want to be prepared when you go into Metro State and go win pitch one and kind of do it all over again. But yeah, from my office, I feel like we're ready to compete at a national level.
And what's the experience like in the early goings here in this region where the sights of games are not guaranteed.
Yeah.
How do you handle that as a coach?
Yeah, not well. No, I think Brian has taken over as my sport oversight, and I think Brian has had me, or listened to me have several animated conversations of frustration about weather and trying to figure out bus schedules and changing hotels and 3 months of logistics in 17 minutes. So no, it's really, really challenging. We're fortunate, like Nick Emanuel is our top assistant coach, and Nick has on-ramped really well and does an awesome job of providing us with assistance from there. Mike Polson played here, had a really good career here, and he helps us out. So I think it's a team, and you try to make it work and do the best you can on short notice, and make it to where for the guys it just feels like a regular road trip, and for us we're ducks and swimming like heck underwater and try and be as level as we can above it.
Yeah, so you mentioned your assistant coaches, Mike Polson, a former player of yours, and Nick Emanuel, who's a former minor league player. So what are they bringing to the table coaching-wise?
Yeah, I think anytime we're hiring, the inclusion criteria is obviously if you're in it, you can coach baseball at a high level. People that fit our culture, I think, is the most important thing, right? And can put student athletes first. And I remember when you're an assistant coach, being that buffer zone, right? It's okay, I have to have the coach's back, but I also need to make sure the player's heard and supported, and feels like I'm in the same corner as them. So the relationship component, ability to win people over in a hurry is kind of the number one thing for us, because again, if you've coached at the college level for long enough or played at a high level, I think you can figure out the baseball side, but we got to have people that fit the same vision as us, and both of them really do.
Awesome. Well, now it's time for some Tanner Spencer trivia.
Uh-oh.
We got 4 questions about your career, both playing and coaching.
Okay.
And see if you can remember stuff.
So I'll precursor with this. I'm not that guy.
Okay.
I talked to Coach Newman will be able to rehearse what happened in a basketball game. I don't go to the hotel and go, I have to watch the video because I have no idea what just happened. So I'm going to be terrible, Danny, but let's go.
Okay. Well, you reached a milestone recently, but your first win was an important milestone. Who did that first win as UMary head coach come against?
I think I do know that one. We were in Cleburne, Texas. It was against Southern Nazarene, and they were awful. It wasn't like we went out and played well. They were terrible. Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah, that was a 12-5 win February 1st of 2020.
Terrible baseball game. Yeah.
Well, you coached your first full season here at UMary in 2021 and had 2 All-NSIC first-team players on that squad. Who were they?
I think it'd be Cal and Derek.
That's correct. Cal James and Derek Schoen.
Yeah.
Third question. While pitching for Nebraska Kearney, you set a career high in strikeouts against Henderson State. How many strikeouts did you get in that game?
Very few. I don't know what maybe 5. I don't know. That's probably it.
You're underselling it. 7 strikeouts in that game.
Probably 13 walks with those 7 strikeouts. So, yeah.
All right, last question. As of February 2025, there are 7 Canadian head coaches across all 3 levels of NCAA baseball. How many are from Saskatchewan?
I don't know if Terry Poole still coaches Houston Victoria or not. Terry Poole's 20-year big leaguer though, so he's got a better resume than me. But maybe 2.
Well, our source said 1, and it's Tanner Spencer.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Well, thank you, Tanner. Good luck this season, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, man.
We'll move on to softball, where in September 2023, UMary hired Amy Schmeckpeper, and this is her 3rd season. She's already tied her career best in wins with 10 already this year. So here's Amy Schmeckpeper, the head coach of UMary softball.
Hello.
Amy, first off, welcome back. You were just in Florida, and it's snowing. You got 5 wins in Florida and 8 games. So how was the trip, and how does it feel to be back in the snow?
The trip was good. We got to play a lot of games, get a lot of innings for our girls. We were competitive, won a lot of games that we should have, lost a couple that we should have won, but overall the girls played really well. And it was a long trip, and I think just from a morale standpoint, they did a good job working through the length of it. And we came back and it was 50 degrees, 60 degrees, and now it's snowing. So I think we're still, kind of adjusting to it. But
yeah, you were on the road for a long time in different states. What does that do from a team bonding perspective early in the season?
They like it at first, and then they get really tired of each other really fast.
Oh.
Just as far as just being around each other all the time. But I think it really helps them just being together in an environment where they're eating together and they're sleeping together and they're in everything together, and just from them getting to know each other as teammates and being in the environment where they're working through things together. I am a true believer that goes further than any sort of team bonding activity you can do or whatever it is. Just being with each other as a group.
The results on the field have been good so far. You already passed last year's win total before even conference play. So what has been the differences or improvements that you've seen with this year's roster?
I would say we have a little bit more base this year as far as just who's going where and where are we starting at as far as our defense goes, as far as our pitching goes, as far as our batting lineup goes. We brought a lot of new kids in the last 2 years that I've been here. We had a lot of young girls play last year. A lot of freshmen played quite a few innings last year. So having them coming back and having that base to work around, I think that's made a really big difference. And just more buy-in in general. Girls that are really in the same headspace as each other and as the coaching staff, and really trying to work in the same direction. But I think the more experience we've had as a group just on the field, and we are still very young, and we're seeing that in some of our wins and losses. But across the board, I think that's what the biggest difference is.
A couple of those young players got some conference awards last season for the first time in nearly a decade, where Maddie Hunter got All-NSIC first team. That's the first one for UMary since 2015. Gigi Hastings was on the All-NSIC defensive team, first time since 2014 for that honor. So how special was that to get that conference recognition last year?
I think it was really huge for the program, really huge for the girls as well. Just them having the confidence that they belong at this level and they can compete at this level. For the program, just getting the acknowledgement from other coaches in the conference that they're seeing that there's talent on the team and that we're working in the right direction, I think was really big just to have that confidence boost. And Gigi's playing really well this year. Maddie was doing well. She actually just ended her season. She had an injury. Yeah, we just lost her a couple weeks ago, or last week. So that was a little bit of a blow to us, but she will recover okay for next year. And Gigi has been playing well at shortstop for us and been doing a good job in the middle school.
So those are two examples of players making a quick impact on the team. You had a couple more this year in this recruiting class as far as true freshmen and transfers. So what was the approach in roster building coming into this year?
I think really we've been hitting it from the standpoint of kids that are athletic, that have the right mindset, both the physical ability to compete and the right mentality that we're looking for as well. We have three junior college kids on the team. One of them that's been our leadoff hitter, Katie McLaughlin. She's been doing a really good job for us. And some of our younger ones are also making a good impact for us as well on the team. So I think it was just really continuing to bring in the right kids that were going to grow the program in the areas that we needed, and bringing that right mindset that we're looking to develop with the program.
One of those transfers was Daisy Sparrow, who played for Bismarck State. So she's on the left side of the infield with Gigi Hastings, and that defense is super good on that side of the infield. So, I asked Tanner the same question. How important is defense in softball?
Yeah, to echo Tanner, very important. Daisy actually has never played third base before. We converted her over there, and she told me and my assistant that the first day we put her over there, she was absolutely scared to death, but she said she was going to suck it up and do it, and we had no idea. But it's definitely really important, especially with our pitching staff. We don't have a lot of pitchers that are just gonna, strike out a ton of people, and that's okay. That's not our game. So our game is to get outs, get ground balls, get fly balls. So to have a strong infield that can, eat up those balls and get the outs, outfield that can run down the balls, that's gonna allow us to be successful. If we don't have that, we're not successful.
And now this year's lineup is starting off with two slap hitters in Katie and Lulu. So what kind of difference does that make, when you start with that speed at the top of the lineup?
Yeah, definitely makes things a lot easier when you can get somebody on base and steal them across. I know Katie right now is leading the conference in stolen bases going into conference play, so she's very quick, and that makes all the difference when you can steal her across without having to waste them out. Just the pressure on the defense to have those slap hitters where things are moving a little bit quicker forcing them to make mistakes, allowing, getting those runners on so that our 3, 4, 5 holes can bring them in. I think that's really helped our offense production, and it just puts more pressure on the other team, right? And when they're more likely to make mistakes. So that's where we're really seeing that pay off.
And pitching-wise, you've run out 5 arms this year into the circle, and you've used them both in starting and relief. I think everyone's got a start and relief appearance so far. It's been led by R.A. Johnson, J.J. Rojas. They've been great so far this season. So what is that versatility of, you can bring them in relief, or you can start with any of your pitchers?
Yeah, I think we're still trying to find the best fit as far as who starts and who comes in, and what the best rhythm is for our pitching staff. It is nice to have kids that we can do both with and kind of see where put them in there with we need. We're definitely a very young pitching staff. I mean, Aria's a junior and everybody else is sophomore, freshman. So I think we're still learning how to handle some of those pressure situations, making sure we're having good starts, stuff like that. But it's been nice to have kids that we can put in there that are competing and able to be out there and give innings for us.
And, Vision 2030 includes a new facility for your softball team, the indoor sports facility on campus. That's coming pretty soon. So how exciting is that for the program to have that on the horizon?
Yeah, we're very excited. We're definitely talking about it with all of our, recruits that we're talking to. I think just from, playing at home perspective, we have weather like this, having a place that we can play, you don't have to drive up to Minot or wherever it is. Having that facility available to us is going to be a really big game changer for our team.
Awesome. And what kind of shift is there when you switch from playing on the road and then coming back for conference play? What kind of shift is there mentality wise?
I think up to this point we've really been as the group trying to figure out just where we're at, what we're doing well, what we need to work on, how we're working together as a group. We have this 2-week break between when we finished, in Florida and opening for conference, and I kind of did that intentionally. So we had a couple weeks to really, go in and clean up what we needed to clean up, focus on what we need to focus on, and just be in the right headspace, just mentally and physically going into conference. The girls are excited. They're definitely hungry and ready to keep going. So I think just finishing Florida on a good note and being in that good headspace coming off that tournament has put us in a really good space going into our conference.
So this being your third year, most of the roster are people that you recruited. So how much easier does that make to implement the culture that you want here for UMary softball?
It helps quite a bit. But we do have a lot of our upperclassmen, our senior class that we've been awesome. And they are leading the way 100% as far as being bought in and pushing the culture we're also trying to develop. And it starts with those upperclassmen, right? So they have been just a huge part of the transition that we're making as a group. And then on top of that, bringing in kids that are there because they want to play for you and they want to play for the school and they want to play for the program, and the idea that, or the culture that we're creating, to both sides of that is what is allowing us to move forward in that area.
Awesome. And on the coaching side, it's been Caitlin Alvarado as your assistant, a former player. So how does she complement your coaching style?
Well, it's been, Caitlin's been great. She's been around here forever now. We were just talking about 10 years. So she's been hanging out for a while, but as far as just her having knowledge of the program, the conference, the area, she knows a lot of things that I didn't know prior to getting hired here, but I'm still learning. So having someone that is just so familiar and so invested with the program, she's kind of been through it with the ups and downs, in the last 10 years. And she is definitely a really huge part in the development we're having as the program and moving forward. We think the same. We were talking about this the other day. Sometimes I'm not saying anything and she knows what I'm thinking. So the fact that we're on the same page constantly helps a lot. Because when I'm off in my own world, kind of doing my own thing, she can kind of bring me back in a little bit. So definitely grateful to have her on the team.
Awesome. So with this early success that you've had, what are the goals this season and moving forward for the program?
Yeah, we're taking it just a little at a time. We're really trying to focus on the process and having that lead to the outcomes that we want. Ultimately, we want to qualify for our conference tournament this year. It's been a long time since that's happened, so that's the goal that we've kind of put out in front of ourselves. And I really do think we have the capability to do that. So this year.
Great. And I mean, you mentioned earlier the indoor facility and how that's impacted how you approach recruiting. How has that? How much of a selling point has that been? Because I mean, personally, I can't wait because it's so windy at the field currently. But how has that impacted your recruiting?
Yeah, it's just great to be able to tell recruits, hey, I know we're in North Dakota, I know it's cold, but we have this facility that allows that to be a non-issue, basically, right, for the most part. Just the ability to show that we have those facilities, and also to show that the school's invested in athletics and seen us develop as just an area on campus. I think that's also a really important selling point. But I would definitely say just being able to have a place to play, a place to practice that doesn't matter if it's snowing outside or if it's 6 degrees, having that available to our players and having that conversation with recruits is that really.
It's great. It's very exciting. And now we'll move on to some Amy Schmeckpeper trivia, where we got some questions about your career, both as a player and a coach. So we'll start with a player question. With the University of Puget Sound, you hit a home run. Do you remember what team it came against?
Yeah, it was against Whitworth College.
That's correct.
That was
yes.
the only home run I hit that season.
It was a solo home run.
And I was very surprised that it went out the park.
Do you still have the ball?
I do not.
No, okay.
No, I don't think I have the ball. No, I don't.
Okay. In 2021, at Garden City Community College, you were named the conference's Coach of the Year. How many wins did your team have that season?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. We had a winning season.
It was a winning
best season they've had in a while. But I have no idea. 35?
25, but it was a 14-win improvement from the previous season. So 14 wins better. You got to 25.
Okay.
Who did your first win here at UMary come against?
Oh, I literally just told Caitlin to look that up before I came after you asked Tanner that. I don't remember. It was over in, was it Valley City?
It was Dickinson State.
Dickinson State, okay. We were over in Jamestown.
It was 8-0 the score. Aria Johnson, who's still on team, pitched a 5-inning shutout in that one. During your tenure, what is the biggest deficit you have overcome in a game, and who was it against?
Oh, I don't know. That one we had the other day was pretty big. What was it, 13 runs or something?
It was, early in the season, the 11-0 deficit.
Yeah, was that it?
That was it, against MSU Billings.
Yes, that was a...
Yeah, that was a fun one. 17-16 was the final score in that game. Well, thank you for joining us, Amy, and best of luck the rest of the season.
All right, thank you.
That will do it for Marauders Monthly. We'll be back next month. Date to be determined. Keep an eye on our social media to see when that date is exactly and who will be joining us for that show. So once again, thank you to Amy, thank you to Tanner, and thank you all for being here.